So let's talk England back three. What is the present and the future of the England team in the wing and fullback area? Now, I've done videos on the back row, the centres previously. They've gone down well, and I want to keep on going because, of course, I watch all the England internationals. I watch all the Premiership games, do reports on those. So I've got as much info as I can take in as one person, but I'd love to know your thoughts on these players as we're going to go through an absolute stack here. Now, in the recent past, in the modern era of English rugby, I think there's been two dominant back threes, two great back threes, I'd say. And of those two standout back threes, the first one is, of course, the 2003 back three, which is Jason Robinson, Josh Lucy, Ben Cohen. You had Bullshaw around as well, some other players, but mainly those three. And what can we learn from the balance of these guys? Well, Jason Robinson had world-class acceleration. Maybe long distance he could actually be caught, but goodness me, his step and acceleration was second to none. And they got him in there early when he wasn't quite fully rounded. I mean, he worked on his game really well, but he'd come from rugby league. He didn't have the awareness that others did, and they threw him in at the deep end, and he really flourished. So, a big risk maybe, but when you've got that top-end world talent, it's worth getting them in there sometimes. And I think England need to think about that rather than playing safe sometimes, picking players for what they can do. Josh Lucy, what would I take out of him? Well, he was an absolute clamp of a player, brilliant hunter of the tackler, fearless. He was good all round, but you need players who can make every tackle. And if you have players that do slip off the odd loose tackle, it's not a great thing. And then Ben Cohen was massive, essentially. He was big and quick, and there's always a place for big and quick on the wing. The other top quality back three was the Eddie Jones back three of 2019 of Johnny May and Anthony Watson on the wing and Elliot Daly. This was probably a bit more of a ball player back three than the other one. Johnny May was the absolute gas, but Watson had a great all-round game, good in the air, and Elliot Daly was like an extra ball player at the end and a counter-attacker. So extreme pace on this team, and they had a very powerful pack and Tuolangi in the centre state, and they could work it to the wings with this extreme pace to finish from absolutely anywhere. And in between those back threes, there were other really good players, but didn't quite have the characteristics to make the great tag. For me, we had Mark Cueto, who scored a stack of tries, but just didn't quite have that top-end pace or power. Mike Brown, who was phenomenal under the high ball, fearless, but again, top-end pace, not quite there. Ashton had the pace, but maybe not the all-round game. Same with Hugo Monnier. It wasn't until later in his career he developed that all-round game, but it was a bit too late by then. So, it's hard to get an all-round back three, something with everything, something that is world-class. So, what are the considerations going through this list in a minute? Well, speed, agility, that's got to be one in a winger. You want them to be quick, or at least quick enough. Some size, some height can help. Power helps, skills definitely help, especially in the more modern game where the wingers come off their wings not only to run with the ball, but to be an extra passer. They're going to be bombed under the high ball, especially now there's a free run of the chasers to the ball. So that ability to be great under the high ball, plus the height, does really help now. And the psychological aspect can help as well. It could be attitude, it could be coping under pressure. And sometimes you only get one or two chances and you've got to take it when they come, especially with England. There's loads of players to choose from. And age is a consideration. If you're towards the end of your career and you're picking a player for the future, well, what do you go for? Do you go for the younger player who's got more time to get better, who could go through one or two World Cup cycles, or do you go for a player who has only maybe got 1 or 2 years left? So definitely a lot to think about. So hold tight, strap in, let's go through all these players, and at the end I'm going to pick a kind of group of players I think we should be working with at present and also going forward to the future. So it's alphabetical order to keep it nice and fair and not really give away too much as in who I think are the guys going forward, although you probably see a bit in my comments. Starting with Bath, they have signed Henry Arundel for next season. He has top-end pace. We know that. When he came into the England team, he scored tries, but we also did see he didn't really go looking for the ball. He looked a little bit worried by the whole occasion. Is he going to come back better from his Racing 92 stint? I think he will. He's more experienced, but then he hasn't torn it up for Racing 92, so he's still got lots to prove. But at 22, he has the time to do it. And if he plays for a very dominant Bath team, which I'm sure they will be next year, he's going to get loads and loads of ball to do that. Joe Thorkanasiga has had a fantastic season or two for Bath. He burst onto the scene in the 2019 World Cup, looked great. got injured, took a while to get over that knee injury. He had to work on his skills, his high ball especially, which still is going to be the weaker part of his game. But he's big, he's strong, he's certainly quick enough, and he scores a bunch of tries. At 27, he's in his peak and worth considering again. Established at fullback for Bath is Tom de Glanville. He has skills coming out of his ears, oozes class, his pace is improving as he's getting more powerful. He's not going to be the biggest, the tallest, and that would be maybe something that could hold him back, but he's one of those players who you could put into an international, and I think he'd look absolutely great. He'd look really smooth, and there's lots of players on this list that could play international and be good or passable or even great players, but there's just so many. You have to really stand out and maybe get a bit of luck and get your chance and take it. Will Muir, the horse, phenomenal in the air. Top end pace, not quite there, but he's certainly quick enough. High knee lift, really hard to tackle. At 29, his time is now. He needs to get picked for this summer tour or it's probably all over. But again, the horse will do a job. He'll gallop to the line. He'll win the high balls. He'll be really functional in the team. And there's a couple of guys in here for the future. Tyler Afire, son of Martin Chariots Afire, has got absolute wheels on him, as you would expect. I don't know what the rest of his game is going to be like. We've just seen him start to appear for the under-20s. We'll see him again next season for the under-20s, but he is definitely one to watch. Maybe not right now. Bristol, there's two guys there that catch my eye. We've got Gabriel Ibitoy, maybe the forgotten man. I think he was very close to being called up to the Six Nations before he got, I think it's a hamstring injury, because he is electric. When I first saw him for the under-20s, he just tore it up. Maybe his all-round game wasn't there at the time, his tackling, his skills. For Bristol, I think he's improved it massively. And this guy makes breaks. He makes breaks almost like no other, apart from Faye Waboso maybe. I really think he's still got a future. He's 27, so he's got a few more years left at his prime. If he gets back fit, watch this space. He's going to explode onto the scene, and I hope he gets to the summer tour if he can prove that fitness. Another forgotten man is Max Malin's got plenty of England caps, can play wing, can play fullback, but really he's a converted 10 and he's got all the skills, great kicker, great passer, technically great, but is he going to be quite big enough? Is he going to be quite quick enough? And 10s moving to the outside backs, it can be a bit of an issue. We've seen Slade struggle at times. We've seen at whole-back Alex Good say, so it could be something that stops him getting back into the England team, although he's a classy operator and again, would do great if he was in the team. On to Exeter, and we know the team has really struggled this season, but that back three, that young back three, has got serious potential. Faye Waboso has already broken into the England squad, and he would have been a star in the Six Nations, I'm sure, if it wasn't for a bad shoulder injury. They were going to rehab it, then there was a bit of a hash with communication, then he had the operation which really set him back. I don't know if we're going to see him in the summer, but certainly next year, if he is fit, he'll probably be back in that England team, and it was a massive shame because he was tearing it up. He's strong, he's quick, and he looks for work. He goes in and gets involved, and he's great in close and out wide and under the high ball. Huge future, and he would probably have gone on the Lions tour, I think. So, bit of a setback for him. Josh Hodge is very interesting. I saw him play for the under-20s 4 or so years ago, and he was a winger that kicked goals. And boy, can this guy kick. He's got some range on him. He's unbelievably quick. Maybe over a long distance, the quickest of the lot. The problem's going to be physicality, tackling, getting bumped off, those sorts of things. Because at 24, he should pretty much be in his physical prime nearly. And he's still very slight. Some people respond differently to weight training. Some bulk up, like Joe Carpenter's seriously bulked up. Tommy Freeman's turned into a tank. Josh Hodge is a bit more of a struggle. Is that just going to hold him back? We've seen him for the A team. We've seen him for Exeter tear it up. I'm not sure if the physicality is going to be there, but if he was picked, I would be super excited. Talking of some Gloucester players, George Barton at 24, I'm pretty sure is going to be the first choice next year. Santi Carreras is moving on, which is a big hole to fill. I'm not sure the running game is quite up to Carreras' standard, but goodness me, he's a great all-rounder. He's got a good burst on him, and his kicking, especially his goal kicking, could be the best out of all these back three players here. He is dead-eye. He could be an England goal kicker if they wanted that sort of fullback. The big, strong Ollie Thorley has always been there or thereabouts. I think he's got one cap when I looked it up. 28, he's got a couple more years. Maybe his time has gone, but he's got the speed, he's got the size. Has he got too much else? Maybe not so much, but he's still there if you need him. And talking of still there, well, Christian Wade has come back to English rugby. It looked like he wasn't going to get his chance in the international scene, so he moved to American football. Now he's back and he's still scoring tries for fun. Finishing, not a problem for Wade. He's never going to be the tallest, but his all-round game's probably as good as it's ever been. All that experience. But at 33, he's at the back end of his career, so I don't think he's going to get picked again. But boy, that guy can finish. Harlequins, another side that's struggling a bit. Murley got some chances for England, then got injured. Was that the chance he needed to take, and is it just slipping by because he's got the speed, he's got the agility, at 25 he's in his prime, but there's so many other players of similar ability, I would say. It's going to be tough for him to get back in, but he's got a chance. Then Marcus Smith, do we consider him as a fullback? For me, he's a 10 who could slot into fullback, and it's useful to have those players, certainly counter-attacking, footwork, stepping. Fantastic, and of course you can use him as a second ball player, but would you back him to make that big high ball catch? Would you back him to make that crucial tackle? Maybe not, but he's a 10 who can play 15, which is great. But for me, I'm probably leaving him out of the back three future for now, but again, useful to move him in sometimes. Then let's talk about Cassius Cleaves. This guy is a rocket ship. Talking of that Jason Robinson-like acceleration, he probably has the highest of the lot. He's already had a few soft tissue injuries, pulls and this sort of thing, so let's watch out for his injury profile, which could be actually what holds him back. But if he gets a run of fitness, he is going to score a lot of tries. And if you want pure pace, he's the man. Is his all-round game up to it? Well, I don't know yet, but let's see. I've left off Tyrone Green because he's not eligible at the moment, and I'm not sure he will be, but let's leave that one, but let me know what you think. Looking at the Tigers trio, we've got Ollie Hassel-Collins. He's big, he's quick, he scores tries. He got a chance for England. It didn't quite work out for him. He made a few mistakes, didn't quite go looking for the ball, kind of stood on the wing a bit like Henry Arundel did. Is he going to get another look in? I just don't know. Like I said, there's so many other players who are big and quick. He might just get edged out. A player that's moved to Leicester from Newcastle. It definitely annoyed Steve Diamond, but it certainly excited Leicester fans because he is a live wire and he's making things happen for Leicester already. 27 years old, he needs to go on this summer tour. If he doesn't, it could be all over. But when he broke through for England, we thought, or certainly I thought, he's going to be here to stay. He scored some absolute worldies. His all-round game isn't always going to be as good as some of the others. He's not that big. His passing and kicking aren't going to be as good as some of the others. But if you want pace and acceleration, he is top-end and world-class, the England coaches said on that. Now, Freddie Stewart is a hell of a fullback, and he's going to be a legend, I think, for Leicester Tigers. He burst onto the England scene, and we thought maybe he's going to be a great, but we could just see his top-end speed and agility was a bit low, which meant he couldn't make as many tackles as maybe he could. He couldn't quite launch those counter-attacks, maybe as other players could. But if you want a player that can rule the airways, big kick, strong as an ox, and hit some really big straight lines in attack, he's there, his form's good, he's massive. Freddie Stewart, will he get back into that England squad? Well, he's been in the England squad, but will he get back into that starting 15 shirt? And it's going to depend what sort of player they want, and maybe he comes in for odd games when they want that sort of big high ball player, so we'll see there. There's 4 players I want to talk about for Northampton Saints, and yes, I put Tommy Freeman in the centre category as well, but he is a back 3 at the moment, and I can see him moving between the two. At 24 years old, he is absolutely hitting his prime, and he's looking world class now. His power has just shot up after the pre-season. He's got the power, he's got the size, he's got the pace, he's got the skills. He is a star in the making, if not already. Then let's talk about George Furbank. He was the man for England at 15. In the summer tour last year, he was fantastic. Then he fell off a bit in the autumn, then he got injured. Is he going to come straight back into the England team? Possibly, as we don't have a huge amount of 15 options. He's not the biggest, he's not the quickest, but he's certainly very nippy, he's very creative, he can play 10 as well. So I think it's up in the air about Furbank. We'll see how he comes back for Northampton first of all. The guy with the highest ceiling is probably George Hendy. He's only 22. Very bandy legs, sometimes he can make some funny errors, but boy, this guy is special. He has ability, he makes unbelievable breaks, he's very tall, he's going to get bigger, and I think watch this space. For now, not 100% sure he's ready, but certainly in the future he's going to be very good. Is he going to go on the summer tour? I think he should. A player who has got one foot in the door is Ollie Slightholme. He is a great finisher, 24 years old, very quick, already got a number of England caps. All-round game-wise as well, I'm not 100% sold tackling wise, but he's in there for his finishing. Sometimes he just doesn't quite go for it. I felt in the Six Nations he was kind of getting the ball and just doing the safe thing rather than going for it, which is what he's there for, his pace. To me, it felt a bit like what Johnny May did towards the end of his career when he wasn't fully backing himself. He needs to back himself because he's got some serious competition and he needs to show off, basically. Then on to the last two clubs, Sale and Saracens. For Sale, Tom Roebuck. I think this guy's got it. When he came onto the scene, I knew he was big, I knew he could finish, but did he have top-end pace? And I think he's shown, yes, he does. His skills are now looking fantastic, and he's looking world-class in the air, which is a massive attribute you're looking for. And he's got the height, he's got the size. I think this is a superstar in the making. Joe Carpenter, the fullback, has seriously bulked out. He was pretty small to start with. He's not going to get height, of course, but he's very powerful. He's quick. He's a good all-rounder. He looks like he's very composed as well. We don't have loads of options at 15, so I think he's going to get some more caps. Another youngster to watch out for, Alex Wills, 6'2", big, strong, look great for the under-20s. He's going to be scoring a lot of tries for Sale, but probably a bit early for him. Finally, let's talk about these three Saracens players. I interviewed Jack Bracken during the under-20 Six Nations. He said he'd probably prefer to play fullback, and I think that's where he's going to be, but I think he could be great at 13 as well. He's got unbelievable pace, he can make breaks, but also he's got a brilliant pass on him, a kick. He's an all-rounder. And in the under-20s, I'd say sometimes he has too much talent and it was just his decisions maybe that let him down occasionally, but that's something that can definitely be rectified with experience. But he is going to play for England, I think. One day it's just going to be when and where. My guess is probably fullback, but I'd love to see him as a utility player in a real positive way. Tobias Elliott broke onto the scene this season and looked $1 million. And as the season's gone on, we've kind of seen some defensive frailties maybe as he's getting used to the system. He's slipping off a few tackles, so things to improve. But he's got the size, he's got the pace, so he's one for the future, maybe next season. And of course, we still have Elliot Daly. I thought maybe his time had gone this year, but he's shown he can still do it. Niggling in the back of a lot of people's minds, I know, is maybe he'll fall off for the odd tackle, and that is still in the locker, but I think he's probably got a bit better, to be honest. He's still got enough pace to be dangerous, maybe not exactly what he had, but I think for a short-term player, he is a good one to keep around, and I would obviously keep him around. And George Furbank for now as we develop our fullback options. But in the summer and going forward, I'd like to see England spend a lot of time developing these six back three, Carpenter and Hendy as your fullbacks, the out-and-out pace of Fewa-Bosu and Ibitoy, and then the size, the power, the high ball skills of Freeman and Roebuck. I think you have pretty much every combination of back three in there. Can they develop into one of England's great back threes? But that's just one person's take, and I'd love to know what you think down below in the comments. And do subscribe if you haven't already. That would be amazing. And I'll catch you next time.